Welcome. When I was preparing for this presentation, I started doing a little research about the foundation, and I came across the mission statement, which it just stuck me. It just stuck with me. And the mission of the Spartan Foundation is to invest in student athletes today, which would help develop complete champions and leaders for tomorrow, all with the purpose to further God's kingdom. So today I want to talk about the people who invested in me, and there was a lot of them. But I'd like to take you back to the beginning and explain to you where this whole journey started. Like they said, I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and I started playing sports when I was 5 years old. I played baseball, basketball, football, and I also ran track. But the most amazing thing, looking back at it this time, I didn't realize that all the coaches were volunteer coaches. People who had their own families, their own jobs, but still took time to invest in the kids in the neighborhood. And that was going to make a major, major impact on me in the future. Because for me, sports was my motivation. I remember my mom always telling me if I applied myself in school like I did in sports, that I'll be able to achieve a lot of things. School was a struggle for me. I had tutors from the time I was in elementary all the way to university. I knew that was going to be my path, and I was okay with it. Now, when I was about in 7th grade, my parents separated. And this really changed the dynamic of our household because my mom was the one who stayed home and raised us. And my dad is, of course, the one that went out there and worked. But now my dad was no longer around. And my mom had to do both duties. And this is when the mentors started to play a major role in my life. Big Bob Bajorquez, the man you see in the middle, is the person who ran the local park. I had him, other coaches, my mother, and of course teachers who were now being mentors to me, people that were there for me all the time when I needed them. But it didn't stop there at that age. Even when I got into high school, I continued to play sports, playing baseball, basketball, and football. And I remember my high school coach taking me and a few of the players to the University of USC. We walked around the campus, we sat in on one of the practices, and my coach said, listen, if you apply yourself, you'll get a chance to get a Division I football scholarship. But my grades were just not good enough. So I had to go to a local junior college. I was there for 2 years. It was called Mount San Antonio Junior College. Had a great time. I was able to get on the football field and play a little bit. And after my 2 years there at the junior college, I was able to finally get a Division I football scholarship. Now, I had 3 offers when I came out of junior college. One was to Southern Illinois, the other one was to Louisiana Tech, and the third one, of course, was Utah State. Now, I chose Utah State for one main reason. We grew up with no money. We didn't travel, we didn't go anywhere. And it was important for me that my family got a chance to see me play. So with Utah being a lot closer to California, I decided to go to Utah State. And this was a great experience for me because, again, I got a chance to play football. We actually won a championship and won the first bowl victory in the school's history, and that was the Las Vegas Bowl II victory. Another person that changed my life was your guest speaker from last year, Jim Zorn. Jim Zorn was actually my college quarterback coach. He not only taught me how to be a football player, but he also taught me how to be a good father. He invited me and a few other quarterbacks to his house, and I would see his interaction with his family. I would see the love, the hugs, the praying at the table, and that really stood out for me because that's something I did not have, and I was always going to remember that. But on the football side, I actually thought my football career was over. All I knew about was the National Football League. And I knew the National Football League was not looking for a 6'2", 185-pound Mexican quarterback. It just was not going to happen. But I was okay with it because my plan was to go back and coach and teach in the neighborhood where I grew up. Those volunteer coaches that invested in me, I felt that it was my duty to go back and invest in the neighborhood where I grew up. But I started hearing about this opportunity, this league up in Canada. So I inquired, and to my surprise, the CFL actually expanded into the U.S. In 1993, they had one team in Sacramento called the Sacramento Gold Miners. 1994, the year that I came out, they added 3 new teams, the Baltimore Stallions, the Shreveport Pirates, and of course, the Las Vegas Posse. And this is where I got my foot in the door, a chance to finally play some professional football, and I was really looking forward to it. So our daily routine, if you can imagine this, is we lived on the Las Vegas Strip for 5 weeks. We lived at the Riviera Hotel, and this is where our football camp was held. So my daily routine was we would get up in the morning, walk to the casino, go have breakfast in the buffet line. After breakfast, back to the casino to a parking lot, and we would travel about 30 minutes to Sam Boyd Stadium, and we'd have our first practice. We would travel back, shower up, and of course, go have lunch in the buffet line again. Our second practice would be in the parking lot of the Riviera Hotel. So picture a parking lot, concrete, light post, and what they did is they just put grass right on the concrete, and it wasn't even a regular sized field. It was like an L-shaped field because we had to work our way around the light post. But this was supposed to be normal, right? It was my first experience of playing professional football, so I did not question anything at all. The one thing I did question, though, was my confidence. Now, I came from a small Division I football program. I was now competing with 12 other quarterbacks from the bigger universities, guys who I used to watch play on TV on Saturday afternoons. And I thought to myself, how am I going to compete with these guys? Well, after that first day of practice, I saw what they were capable of doing. I knew deep in my heart what I was capable of doing. And I said, never again am I going to question my confidence. So after competing with these guys for 5 weeks, I became the starter. Now, my goal was just to make this football team. But here I was, 21 years old, playing professional football and starting. Now, it was a great experience. We went 5-13 that year. I was still very inconsistent and got hurt quite often, but it gave me an opportunity to get my foot in the door. But after that 1 year in 1994, the team folds, and I had to move on. Now, I've had to deal with adversity on and off the field my entire life. But what I was going to have to deal with in the next 3 years, it was going to push me over the edge. Now, I got picked up by Hamilton, and the first 2 years that I was there, 1995 and 1996, I really wasted a great opportunity to be mentored. I had guys like Mike Kerrigan, Steve Taylor, and Matt Dunnigan. But when I was playing with these guys, I didn't want to listen to them. I thought I had all the answers, and it was a big mistake. And what's crazy, finally, my third year there in 1997, the team says, you know what, Anthony, we believe in you. We're going to get rid of all these veterans, and you're going to be our starter. And what happens? We go 2-16. And I didn't even win those 2 games. I was on the bench. So I didn't win any games that year. So you're talking about adversity smacking me in the face? That's exactly what was going on here. And I didn't know how to handle it. I remember all I wanted to do was just go from my apartment straight to the stadium, and that was it. So what happens after this time? I get released. I had 2 teams that were actually interested in me. One was the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the other one was the Montreal Alouettes. And we all know which team I chose. Of course, it was the Montreal Alouettes. But the reason why I wanted to go there, because I wanted to be part of a winning organization. And Montreal had that. When I was in Hamilton and Las Vegas, we were a losing organization. I was looking forward to the new opportunities and new challenges. But the first thing I knew I had to do is I had to gain the trust of the locker room. To me, this is the most important thing as a quarterback, to have that trust of the locker room. Because once you have that trust, that's when magic could happen. But first, I had to learn how to accomplish that. And I was able to do that because of this man, Tracy Ham. In this picture, he's outflanked with my 2 brothers, David and Mario. Tracy was an amazing individual. I noticed right away when I got in the locker room the respect that the guys had for him. Guys would come up to him, not only ask him football questions, but ask him personal questions. And that always stood out to me. So wherever Tracy went, I went. Tracy would show up 3 hours before every practice. He would watch film. He would lift weights. He would take care of his body. And I just went with him wherever he went because I wanted to learn. My first year there in 1998, I started 6 games because Tracy was hurt a bit. I was 4-2 as a starter. So again, I was starting to gain the trust of that locker room. 1999 comes around. I'm 7-2 as a starter. So now, not only am I getting the trust of the locker room, I'm getting the trust of the organization. And what's unique about the Canadian Football League? We have certain rules. And one of the rules is you're only allowed to practice and meet for 4.5 hours. Well, Tracy taught me that that's just not good enough. You have to be, in order to be a champion, you got to put in extra time. So my daily routine when I was playing is I would get up at 5 o'clock every morning. I will be in the film room by 5:30, so from 5:30 to 7:30, I'm breaking down my opponent to make sure that I am not surprised when game day comes around. From 7:30 to 8, I take a little break, and of course, from 8 to 9, we would have our quarterback meeting. In this meeting, we would go over every single play that we were going to run that day. Finally, practice officially started at 9 o'clock. So from 9 to 1:30, we would have our normal team meeting and, of course, our practice. And that was my daily routine when I was playing. So I really felt that I was taking the necessary steps to get on top, to be a consistent championship quarterback. So in the year 2000, Tracy Ham retired, and I took the team over. And this was a crucial year for me. The last time I took a team over, we went 2-16, and I didn't win those 2 games. So here, we go all the way to the Grey Cup in the year 2000. We go 12-6 in the regular season. It was a great, great learning experience for me. But that's not the only thing that happened in the year 2000.